Hi, this is Chris of Wilson Wildlife Sculpture. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel, Wilson Wildlife Sculpture, and the tips and wood carving and sculptures that I show. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate some painting techniques on this eastern collared lizard and just talk about my experience packing, shipping, which right now during the holidays, this sculpture is sold, but I've got to do some repairs on it. I've actually already done the repairs, and I'm going to demonstrate the touch-ups of painting in this video. But I want to show you the packaging. Apparently, this isn't not enough. I box within a box. I use air bubbles, and it was very, very secure. The box had to have been thrown, and actually something very heavy put on top of it and crushed for it to do any damage to my bird. But I try to, I fix everything. All my work is guaranteed, and it's all fixable. It just takes time. So I'm going to add this dragonfly as a token of appreciation for my collector for collecting this piece. And there's a branch that goes over the lizard, and the dragonfly will be perched up there. So this is kind of a challenging animal to replicate its colors, and I'm going to have to match its colors, which is very challenging. I use acrylic paints. I also use oil paints in my birds, but I like the matte finish acrylic paints use. First tip I'm going to give is try to prime your wood surface. After you seal it, use a good primer like gesso, Liquitex gesso, and I use Professional brand. You can find a lot of other brands, but the higher end brands like Liquitex and Professional levels have more pigment, and so I'd recommend that. I'm not going to gesso this because it's already been gessoed. I'm just doing small touch-ups. I'll also recommend like good paints like Liquitex soft body acrylic. These are in jars, which dry a little bit flatter than the tubes. So tubes, if you like a shiny finish, that's fine. I prefer more of a matte finish for realism and the sheen that wildlife has. So I'm very careful not to get my birds too shiny. Lizards can be a little bit different, but I like the matte finish on this. I also use these paints in Spain, from Spain, called Minim acrylics, and they come in tiny little bottles. And occasionally you can get like this emerald green, something to match the lizard. I'm pretty sure I used some of this. So you just shake up the bottles, and I'm going to squeeze it out. I use old yogurt containers. They don't make them with the tops anymore, so I have to reuse these. You can see how many years that's been used. But I will squeeze out the different tubes in here. I also have some different paints here from Craftsmart's acrylic paint, Sailing Blue, to Martha Stewart craft paint. This has a little iridescence in it, a little pearl. I put a little iridescence in the pigments to play up because it's such a beautiful male, called an eastern collared lizard. So I really want to show the beautiful colors it has during especially breeding plumage. You really don't need all these colors. You really just need the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. This is a basic set, which the essentials, I think there's 12 colors in here. You'll need a white. A lot of artists don't use black. I still use black, but you can use blues and browns to replicate blacks. You'll need a primary color like red. As far as like in yellow and blue, but those are primary colors. You can mix any color with those. But as far as colors like green, you can buy these, and you can buy all different shades. But you can make them with red, yellow, and blue. That's just starting the color wheel, knowing how to mix things. Red and yellow makes orange. You mix a little. Like you get this turquoise with blues and yellows, because blue and yellow makes green. And so knowing the colors and how they mix and what they produce will help. I went ahead and squeezed out some of the paints and put them in this tube here. In this plastic jar. So I just squeezed out a little bit on the ends. I've got and this is like my palette. The advantage of this is I can store this upon weeks on end. Okay, so this is my palette. I work very differently than most artists. In this palette, I start with lights, and then I kind of go like a color wheel. Yellow to green to turquoise to blues to dark blue to black. I'm going to add a little bit of gesso here, just a tad bit. I don't think I'm going to need much, but just to lighten paints. So that's how I pour it out or squeeze it out. Just pour it out with these jars. I usually use a palette knife for mixing, and I have a paper towel handy. Make sure I have that. Here we go. And I wet my brushes. I'm going to try a little of this Minim Emerald Green because that looks pretty close. And for touching up, it's hard to get the colors exact. So I'm going to just do the best I can in this demonstration. But I had these nice colors. Actually, that's a little bit too intense. I have this patina chalk home decor folk art paint that it could work as well. So, but if you can see this up close, I'm going to get closer so you can see the details in me painting. You can see that I am, here we go. Try to get you a nice close up here. Yeah, I'm working in this shoulder area. Okay, this is where it had a repair to make and had to fill and glue it and replicate its texture again. So this is the area I'm trying to do. So it's just a matter of mixing. I like to mix different paints together, and I'm going to wet blend them. I'm going to mix the colors on a couple different brushes, and I'm going to wet blend them together with a soft, clean brush, and I'll be doing a stippling action like this. And you can't airbrush the paints on, but I've been classically trained with oil painting as well as acrylics, and hand brushing. Airbrush is sometimes a crutch, so be careful relying on it too much. So I'm going to add a little bit of this white to yellow. I always start light and go to dark. Okay, I'll make sure you can see some little details here. Like that looks, see the kind of a mustard yellow. So I picked out that yellow because there's different brand yellows, but this yellow is pretty close here. It's almost like a yellow ochre, yellow oxide could be used. But I'm tinting it with white. Here's my palette in there. And I'm going to do another color of a little bit of green. Let's see, I need a couple more brushes here. Green, I wet the brush first. Okay, I've got these, yeah, this has a little bit of a pearl patina in it. I mean, iridescent, so I'm going to add a little bit of that. And maybe use that color that's too strong. That was that emerald. So look on the color wheel. Next color to yellow is green. And that's what I look at photographs and I try to get the colors analogous to each other in the color wheel. So that looks like a nice bright green in there. And now I'm going to load a third brush with this darker kind of turquoise back in here, which most of the lizard has. Okay, and I think I'll use that strong color, but I'm going to shade it. See, tinting it is adding white, shading it is adding black or its complementary color. I'm going to shade it actually with an analogous color, being a little bit of blue. Okay, I don't want it quite this intense, so I'm going to add a little bit of blue. Now, acrylics dry darker when they dry. The paints will look a little bit darker. And see, I spent a lot of time trying to match colors because it's important to make your wildlife, if you're doing realism, look real. And collectors notice that kind of thing. I will, since I have 3 brushes loaded, the last one I will add little shades even darker, maybe a little bit of dark blue, maybe even a little bit of black, which I have there. But I can do that and mix it as I'm painting. Okay, so I'm going to first Got to work fairly fast with this. One thing, a trick to do is to add water in your cup so that these paints will, stay wet for a long time. So you can do another coat if need be. And also, when I apply them, I like to add a little bit of water because I have texture and I don't want to fill that texture. So a little tip there. So I'm going to apply. I don't actually need this, so I like to cover them so they don't dry out. Hooks dry fast. So I'm going to work pretty fast here and put my glasses on so I can see. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I think this light's pretty good. So I'll do yellow to blue and blend those together. Kind of look at the other side. And I'm adding the very light yellow there. And that's looking pretty good. Got to do a little bit under the arm. And now I'm going to add some of this green that has a little bit of iridescence in it, and it doesn't look exactly what I want. So I'm going to add a little more turquoise to it. It's still a little bit bright, but hopefully I can tone that down. I think I might put the yellow over a little bit. Tone that down. I'm kind of mixing right on the surface. Again, this is not easy to do. It just comes with experience. Now I think I matched it pretty good. Now I actually already kind of blended it in there, okay, but I'm going to soften it a little bit just by stippling up and down. Hopefully you can see that all right. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Now I can correct things if it's not when it dries. If it dries a little darker, it's on the lighter side right now, which is good. Now while the colors are still wet, okay, this is called wet blending. I'm adding a little more green back here. And I'm just going to add that kind of blue right over it. Okay, right back here. I'm going to pick the piece up a little bit so I can work back under it. And it looks like I need to add a little bit of the yellow under there a little bit. Okay, now I'll shade it with a little bit of blue. Just a little touch of the dark. Okay, and I'm going to stipple that in there. Oops, there we go. Now you can see. A little bit bright. I can tone it down with a wash, but the colors tend to dry a little darker afterwards. But this has been reinforced with metal rods in the tail and the individual toes. And I don't think it's going anywhere now, even if the shipping people throw it, which obviously they do during the holidays when they're busy. And you just have to pack things so that they don't come apart. So I'm happy with that. I'll wait for it to dry and see if you can see that even closer there. Yeah. So anyway, that is my painting, and I appreciate you watching and subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot for your support, and hopefully you learned some tips here. If you did, please hit that subscribe button, and thanks for following me. Have a great day.